The trouble with 2, the professor's office, today. The professor burst out in laughter. Tamika and I just looked at him while he carried on. I'm just saying that 2 was a who, not a what, the professor said. I don't get it, I said. Let me explain, he said with a chuckle, because my name is Tuesday. I like Tuesdays and the number 2. We know that, Tamika said. You do almost everything in 2s. Right, I added, and you invented the Tuesday teleporter, a time machine that works on Tuesdays and only goes back to Tuesdays in history. That's correct, answered the professor proudly. I was reading about the Toledo War in an old history book, and I just found somebody I just had to meet. His name was 2 Stickney. I've never heard of anybody having the name 2, Tamika said. I agree that not that many people have that name. The professor got up from the floor and walked over to his desk. 2 Stickney's father was named Benjamin. At the time of the Toledo War, his family lived in Ohio. Benjamin Stickney and his wife had 2 sons, and they named them 1 and 2. That's weird, I said. There really was a person named 2? That's right, answered the professor. And what 2 Stickney did during the Toledo War made history. So what did 2 do? Tamika asked. As the words fell out of her mouth, she laughed loudly. I just said 2 do. Doesn't that sound funny? The professor and I laughed as he took a seat behind his desk. He seemed to be feeling much better. That does sound funny, he said. Before I can tell you about 2, you should understand a little about the Toledo War. The professor settled into his chair and took another sip of water. In 1835, Ohio and Michigan were working hard to become official states of the United States of America. By that time, Michigan had a constitution and a state government in place. But President Andrew Jackson didn't sign the bill that made Michigan a state until 1837. Why was that? I asked. Mostly because of the Toledo War, answered the professor. Both Michigan and Toledo had the Toledo Strip surveyed, and each claimed to own the land. Then all the arguments started. From the Michigan side, men were organized and sent to arrest officials in Toledo. During these raids, some scuffles and a few fights broke out. But like I said before, no one was seriously hurt. That is, until some Michigan raiders came upon 2 Stickney. What happened? I asked. Professor Tuesday leaned forward in his chair and looked right into our eyes. Joseph Wood, a deputy sheriff from Monroe County, Michigan, was trying to arrest 2. The deputy planned to take 2 Stickney back to the Michigan Territory and put him in jail. They scuffled and 2 stabbed the sheriff with a knife and escaped. Was the sheriff okay? I asked. The sheriff got a cut, but he wasn't seriously hurt. The professor finished the last of his water before he continued. When I went back in time to meet 2 Stickney, I got there just minutes before Joseph Wood tried to arrest him. I was talking with 2 when we were surrounded by deputies from Michigan. We both got roughed up a bit. When 2 Stickney escaped, I was being held by the deputies. They were going to put me in jail. If they did that, I probably wouldn't have made it back to our time. I would have been trapped in the 1800s for the rest of my life. It was scary, really scary. I hope you're all right, Professor, I said. I'm just glad I escaped safely, but I never ever want to put myself in danger like that again. Ohio ended up with Toledo, didn't it? I asked. Yes, indeed, said the professor. And to settle tensions between the 2 states, Michigan was awarded the land in what is now the Upper Peninsula. Right after that decision was made, Michigan became a state. Did Ohio ever build the canal? Tamika asked. I don't remember hearing or reading about it in social studies. The professor shook his head. The Maumee River was never used to build a canal between Lake Erie and the Ohio River. By the time the Toledo War was settled, railroads started to be a more important form of transportation than canals. So Ohio never got rich from a canal on the Maumee River. On the other hand, the Upper Peninsula provided a valuable source of copper, iron, and timber for the state of Michigan. The professor started shaking all over again as he thought about his close call in Toledo. Then he looked up. Oh my goodness, where are my manners? I'm sorry, Jessie. Who's your friend? I stepped forward and nodded toward my classmate. Professor, this is Tamika Jones. We're in the same grade at Arrowhead School. Our teacher, Miss Pepper, encouraged us to come and see you. The professor scratched his forehead as he thought. Wait a minute, Tamika. I remember you from the day your class came to the university on a field trip. You were the student who didn't want to go to Sandusky, Ohio in 1629 because you're afraid of roller coasters. Who knows what's in Sandusky now?
Cedar Point.
Yeah, Cedar Point.
I was gonna say that.
Yep. That's her, I said. Well, I owe both of you my thanks for helping me today. Now, why have you come to see me? The professor asked. I turned to my friend. Tell him, Tamika. My friend just looked down and didn't say a thing. She's very shy, I said to the professor. It's okay, Tamika. The professor is a very nice man. You can tell him why you wanted to visit him. Tamika bit her lip but didn't say a word. Then she leaned over toward me, cupped her hand, and whispered in my ear, You tell him. I rolled my eyes and let out a sigh. Professor, Tamika wants to go back in time to learn about the Underground Railroad. She told our class that her relatives escaped slavery in the South and traveled through Ohio, Indiana, and Michigan before getting their freedom in Canada. The professor looked concerned. Traveling the Underground Railroad is very, very dangerous. People were jailed and tortured. Some were even killed. I'm sorry, I can't put either of you in that kind of danger. A tear tumbled down Tamika's cheek. Please? The professor shook his head slowly as he looked at my friend. Then his face softened. Give me some time to think about it. Come back next Tuesday and maybe I can figure something out.